A really good question I was asked this week is, what were some key mistakes I made in my late teens and 20s when it came to training? The probably biggest overarching thing I would say is I didn't have someone coaching me. I was purely self-coaching, and I was also living off templates I find online or in books or from more famous fitness personalities, which has both pros and cons. I think also for me, because I didn't have really a specific goal apart from just wanting to be as strong and fit as possible, I was training, did an Ironman. I, at the same time as that, was trying to do my max deadlift, and lots of training like that, which at that age you can get away with because you recover so well and you can kind of train a lot more frequently. And I was a student and then had a very stable office job, which gave me a lot of flexibility around food intake, sleep and recovery, which just doesn't apply once you get a bit older and you recover less quickly. You maybe have kids, you maybe have a job that's more demanding. All those other pressures really ramp up, which makes it much harder to train like you are when you're 20. So firstly, I think, not having an overarching plan when I was that sort of age and just going hard across the board. You can get away with it, but it's not the most sustainable long term. And you might also pick up niggles and injuries in that 20 to 30 period that might stay with you for a long time if you're not careful. So that is worth thinking about. Like if you're 27 and you're going absolutely hard as hell after deadlifts, trying to kind of get roll weight maxes and really a lot of heavy training week after week after week, you might be increasing your risk of an injury. I'm all in favor of doing lots of training and deadlifting, sure, but at the same time, unless you're trying to be an Olympic athlete or a competitive powerlifter, is it in your best interest to be hammering deadlifts that hard every single week for years? And it might be something that can come back to haunt you a little bit when you're in your 30s. So just thinking about what's the long-term angle to this and just being a bit more smart around that is absolutely my number two. Like, think long-term. What do you actually want to get out of training? And if it's staying fit, healthy and strong for life, then being more sensible about your loading and periodization of training can make a big difference as well. Number three would probably be money spent on supplements that don't do anything for you. Absolutely, when you're just chasing to be as big as possible and just as strong as possible, like I was in my 20s, I'd try and take other supplements which had maybe limited evidence to them in the hope that they'd really make a big difference for me. In reality, actually, the things making a bigger difference were if I went on a night out with my university friends, for example, as to how my training was for the rest of the week. So I think certainly it's very easy to get drawn into trying to push all the small gains that you can get from these very supplements and all that sort of stuff. But like in reality, for most people in the 20s, keeping a good high protein intake, getting adequate rest, not drinking every single day at college or university, and actually having a structured training program will do absolute wonders for you in terms of both a physique perspective, a strength and fitness perspective, and just an all-round fitness and well-being perspective. So very much don't worry about the small percentages. Make sure you're doing the fundamentals really well in your 20s to 30s and you'll make huge progress. Number four would be just eating everything. It's something that, coming from a rugby player background as well, it's really drilled into you from a young age to just eat as much as possible and be as big as possible, which is okay when you're playing rugby all the time, but once you are not playing rugby all the time and you're trying to chase other goals and that sort of thing, being so loose to your nutrition isn't always the most helpful, depending on your goals. And it can be a bit of a reframe that you need to do then in your late 20s to think, okay, actually I'm getting much more sedentary with my job and I'm less physically active than I used to be, and so I need to be mindful of my training volume and also be my nutrition intake to then look at my body composition and goals from that perspective. Don't eat absolutely everything, and actually be mindful of your nutrition is a big one. and my toddler has appeared. Okay, you're fully naked. It's not pee-pee on this carpet. The last thing I would say is just volume. Too much volume. Tying into the earlier points around like risk and loading and programming and supplements, all good things, but the last one is just volume and training volume. It's super easy in your 20s to just absolutely hammer the volume, but the reality is for most people that actually you could probably be more efficient with your training, do a lot more supersets, rather than just hammering bench, deadlift, squat, bicep curls all the time. If you're a kind of a a gym bro in your, or gym gal in your 20s to 30s. Is it gym gal? I don't know. Gym girl. We'll just go with gym girl. If you're a gym girl boss, then just having volume all the time isn't necessarily the best thing. And I'd be smarter with your training. Try to avoid getting to your 30s broken and sore and just really niggly. If you train smarter in your 20s, you'll get to your 30s and be in a much better place to keep doing lots of things without worrying about aggravating different issues every time you train, or trying new things and being worried about having back pain or whatever comes from it, you know. Be really mindful of that in your 20s. So there you go. There were some of my 5 key points of things to avoid in your 20s and mistakes I would try and avoid if I were to go back in time. I can't, I wouldn't want to, but it would be fun. It'd be a fun experiment. If you like this video, please like, share, or subscribe. I'd love for you to see more of my content in future, as we're just pumping out more and more around fitness, training, nutrition, mindset, and my own training and events this year.